not be afternoon when you're watching this. This week we're going to talk about functional yoga. Most of what I do can be balled into the functional yoga, but how do we do those things that don't exert our bodies, still get us to move and loosen up the tight muscles, get the tightness out of our fascia, which is our connective tissue, which is everywhere under your skin, and still have fun doing it. Right? Simple, easy exercises. This week we're going to look at using some props. So we're going to start with loosening up that connective tissue from bottom to top. Okay. A lot of you are dealing with plantar fasciitis or are getting to that point. So every time you step, you're feeling that cramp in your foot, maybe after a long day of being on your feet. You could use a nice foot rub or a foot soak. So one thing you can do is to use either a tennis ball or a harder ball. I have a lacrosse ball. So for sight purposes, I'm going to start with the lacrosse ball. This is a little bit harder. So depending on how sensitive your feet are, you can always go with a hard tennis ball. Both are great options. If you're someone that's glutton for torture, you can use a golf ball. Either of those three will work. I always recommend using either the lacrosse ball or the tennis ball. There are some yoga tune-up balls. If you go to yogatune-up.com, that has the kind of in-between option of the tennis ball and the lacrosse ball. So we're going to start by rolling out our feet. I always place the ball down here at the bottom. Again, you can use either the tennis ball or the lacrosse ball. You can do this with or without socks. I prefer going without socks to do this. It's a lot easier for when we focus on the single toes. Okay. So you're going to start with your right foot. Okay. You're just going to place your right foot on the ball. Make sure that your heel stays on the ground and you're just picking up your foot enough to place it under the ball of your feet. So I'm going to move a little closer here. Actually, I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to move this down so you can see a little better. So, we're going to be working on the ball of the feet. If you're familiar with foot reflexology at all of the nerves in your body, think of your body as a power plant. Your main battery, your main conductor is your brain. All of the nerves, which would then be your power lines, run through the spine, out to the rest of the body, through the fingers, through the feet, which would be the same as every home in your county, in your area, right? So your fingers, your organs, all of that, the nerves are connected to. So as they all come out through the feet, you can address a lot of your body's systems through reflexology, rolling out your feet, massaging your hands, working on the spine. This is why it's great to see a chiropractor. Okay. But we're going to start with bottom of the feet. We're going to start rolling under the ball of your feet side to side. Remember to keep your heel on the ground. So you're rolling side to side. Your left foot, what do I do with my left foot? You're going to make yourself parallel. Okay? So you're either going to bring your foot right next to it with your toes facing forward so that way your knees stay aligned, or slightly behind or slightly ahead. I always recommend slightly behind. That way you can get some balance, about a couple inches width apart. Okay? If it's too close, you can move out to your hip width apart. Okay, again, you can use the lacrosse ball or tennis ball. Okay, so you're rolling out the bottom of your feet, going side to side across the ball of your feet, nice and slow. Okay. And you're going to roll from the bottom of your feet up and down the middle of your arch. Okay. Whether you have an arch that's pronounced or flat feet like I do, so you can see mine. I've got basically no arch. You could fry something on this flat pan. So you're going to roll back and forth under the arch. You're going to end up lifting your heel just a bit. Always keep a slight bend in your knee. If you lock your knee, you're going to start doing damage to the cartilage that's around your kneecap. Okay. So you're going to start rolling under the arch. One thing I want you to focus on is breathing. Okay. As you bring stress to the body, whether it's through stretching, whether it's external stress, your body tends to go into survival mode and you end up holding your breath a lot more, which deprives your body of oxygen, which deprives your brain of oxygen. And as your brain starts to be deprived of oxygen, your other body systems will start to shut down. This is going to impair certain things like clear thinking. Okay. So you're going to breathe through your nostrils, in through the nostrils, out through your mouth. If you're dealing with sinus issues, go in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Okay. So nice deep breaths. I want you to focus on the inside of your arch, okay, right under where the big toe is. It's going to roll under there. Again, making sure your left foot is facing the same direction as your knees are pointing. So under the right foot there, you're going to go under the outside arch, wherever the pinky toe is. Okay, so you're going to notice my heel comes up just a bit, and that's okay. You don't want to like grind your heel down. Okay. You may even start to notice that you start locking your leg. Go ahead and just recheck your feet and give yourself a nice bend in the knees. Good. I want you to take your big toe, this toe here, okay? Don't worry if you're not as flexible as I am to be able to do that. That's not necessarily my main concern, especially if you're dealing with things like plantar fasciitis where you have a toe injury or a foot injury. You're going to place just your big toe on the ball. If you need to take your hand and move the other toes off the ball, go ahead and do that. Okay, and you're going to stand and place all of your weight through the big toe. Okay, so you're going to notice my toes here are off to the side, just the big toes on the ball. Here, you're going to stand parallel. Okay, one foot next to the other, and breathe. Relax. Let your knees relax. Your hip is going to be tucked under. If your hip is rolled back, I'll take a second and pause. If your hip is rolled back, you're going to end up pulling through the hamstrings and through your glutes, and you're going to have this weird curve going through your back. Usually when your hamstrings are really tight, it pulls up through the back here. If your knees are the ones that are giving you issues, you're going to end up rolling too far under. So what you do is place your hands on your hips and roll your hips under until you come to the middle. Okay, your knees should have a nice bend at that point. You're going to come to the middle. So that's what you're going to be doing while your toe is on this ball. Nice deep breath. And just allow your body weight to sink into this ball. You should feel the tension right under the tendon of the big toe. So right along here. If you've got plantar fasciitis, you're going to feel it a lot more pronounced than folks who don't. But this is good whether you have it or not. Think of it as prevention or maintenance. Okay. If you want a little deeper stretch, you're going to step forward just a bit like you're taking a step. Okay. That looks like from this side. Take a step forward like you're taking a step, and you're going to press deeper into the ball. So I'm going to do this for about 5-10 seconds in through the nostrils. And don't worry if your ball rolls out from under you. You're just going to come back and out through the mouth. So nice deep breathing. Good. Once you're done with that, after you're about a couple deep breaths there, instead of lifting your foot straight up, you're going to roll your foot nice and slowly through the ball of your feet, right through that tendon you just were stretching out. If you pick up your foot too fast, it's going to cause your foot to cramp. It's the last thing you want after you just tried to relieve some of that pain. Good. You're going to go to the next two toes here, these two middle toes. Okay. So you can place those on the ball. Same thing here. If your other toes are on, you're just going to move them off. So your big toe's on, you're going to move it off either with your hand or your finger. Same thing here. Nice deep breathing. Make sure you stand up nice and straight through your shoulders. Let your knees have a nice little bend. Your hips are at that neutral position. If you're not sure of how long you should be deep breathing, a good kind of middle of the road gauge is inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. Slower is better. Okay, so don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Begin your exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now don't force yourself to hold your breath or anything. You want it to be natural. This is going to get oxygen moving into the body, and it keeps your blood pressure at a nice steady rate. You're going to roll through the ball of your feet, in the middle of the arch there. Okay. The last 2 toes, if you've got a lacrosse ball or something with actual grip on it, the last 2 toes won't be that bad. They'll actually stay on the ball. Okay. If you've got the tennis ball, what you're going to do is you'll take your ball over to the wall, and you're going to press into the wall right there, and then place your foot with the last 2 toes and face the wall. That way the wall will keep the ball from rolling all over the place. You can actually stretch those last 2 toes. Same thing here. You want to place both feet, both heels going the same direction, and breathe. So you're going to come back. You're obviously going to want to do both feet. Okay, so to go through that whole thing again, we're going to rolling the middle arch to start with. Okay, move that out of the way. My feet are going the same direction. My knees are slightly bent, and I'm breathing. Okay. So I'm going to roll through the middle arch. I'm going to go on the outside arch by the pinky toe, and the inner arch under the big toe. Also, with your heel on the ground across the ball of your feet. If you're noticing that all of a sudden you feel real tight in the hip or your glutes, it'll be because your leg is locking and you're putting too much pressure on that other leg. So it's okay to put all your weight through the ball. The ball is not going to pop unless you've got one of those really flimsy balls. Then I suggest getting a little tougher tennis ball. You can order them on Amazon. You can order them from Target. Be safe in this quarantine time. Don't just go rushing out to the store for tennis balls, but you can get them fairly cheap. You can get them 3, 5 in a pack. So get the cheapest option. Lacrosse ball will be a little more expensive. So I'm all about saving money. Don't have to go rush out and buy a bunch of stuff. If you're taking a walk through your neighborhood and you have a tennis court near you that still has some balls laying around, there you go. You got the free option. Again, start with that big toe. Whoa. All right, we're gonna come and do this one. Big toe. So you may notice that one side might be a little tighter than the other side. That's completely normal. You're not symmetrical on either side. Again, as the nerves run from your brain to the rest of your body, you're not experiencing the same nerve impulses on either side. This is why a lot of our bodies feel in a state of disease, right? Dis-ease, discomfort. Right? One side might be tighter than the other from the way you sit, from the way you move. Right hand, left hand dominant, left foot, right foot dominant. Just breathe, let those hips relax. Nice deep breath. I know some of you need this because some of you are on your feet all day long, whether you got kids or you're cooking or whatever you're doing. You just are constantly on your feet. And some of you don't have carpet in your home, so you're constantly on that hardwood floor. So it's nice to do some self-care. Roll through big toe area. This is also something that's fun to do with your kids if they're able to join you, or if you want them to join you. Some of you just need a break. But this is something that's something they can enjoy too, and it helps their feet. one thing to be aware of, if you have pets, specifically dogs, they will come and try to take the ball from you, or they might just be around you. So you'll have to figure that out. But as you're releasing a lot of these toxins, a lot of this negative energy from your body, negative in the sense of positive and negative energy, your atoms, molecular systems, your dogs and animals can sense that. Actually, so can your kids. Okay? So you're going to start to release that. They might come around you like, oh, what's going on? Start sniffing at you. That's okay. Next 2 toes. And relax those glutes. If you're unsure of how to relax your glutes, tighten up your butt and then exhale and relax. So that way your brain kind of knows, like, okay, that's relaxed. If you need something to do with your hands, just place them on your hip. Then we can keep track of your hips rolling under or back. Okay. Or if you got some pockets, throw them in a pocket. Good. Roll through the feet again. And then do the last 2 toes. Again, if you had that tennis ball, or your ball is just rolling away from you, maybe you got a hardwood floor that you're doing this on, or you don't have a yoga mat, take it to a wall if you can find a wall, and just place it up against there. Roll through. Another thing you're going to do, if you've got a tennis ball, I don't necessarily suggest doing this with the lacrosse ball because there's no give, but we're going to work on the heel. So if you don't have a softer tennis ball, you're going to skip this part and you'll come back to it when you do have a softer ball, or you can just grab your heel with your fingers and you're going to give them a nice squeeze right through the heel. Bring some attention to the heel. Okay. But one thing I like to do is you take your heel, place it right on the tennis ball, and just step right on it. Let your weight come through. Okay. This helps to get your hips level. So you're gonna have to relax your hips, relax your hamstrings. Nice deep breaths. Roll through. Do the same on the other side. It'll feel a little unnatural because you're uneven. Be sure to keep your knees bent regardless. If at all you start to feel hot or you're sweating through the rest of this exercise, that is perfectly normal as well. Reason why that's normal is you're getting a lot of the lactic acid that's being stored up in your muscles, in your joints, out of your body. Your body produces metabolic waste material, which is normal. So when you exhale carbon dioxide as a metabolic waste, if you hold your breath, it's toxic, right? So if you hold your breath, you start to feel like you're going to pass out. One, your brain is not going to let you just go without oxygen, so it's going to shut down your consciousness, so that way you can just breathe. Okay, it's overwhelming. So when you have less oxygen and more carbon dioxide, your brain gets overwhelmed and it starts to slow down and shut down. Okay, which is why if you're getting choked out with lack of oxygen, you pass, right? But the body will reactivate your breathing system, hopefully. Unless you have asphyxia, then that's literally choking. So what's happening is these toxins that are floating around in your body, if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not regularly doing some sort of stretching, yoga, exercise, moving about, going on walks, getting that out through urine or sweat or breathing deeply, it sits in the body. and gets deposited in other areas like your joints, like your muscles, like your tendons. Okay, that gives you that stiff feeling. Like a lot of us wake up in the morning and we're just stiff, right? So imagine having that throughout the entire day. You're sitting in your chair for 8 hours a day, or whatever your job is, or just at home because you're not able to move as much. That stiffness will settle into your body, and you just start feeling less mobile. Okay. As we're working out that lactic acid and those other metabolic waste material, it'll get dumped into your bloodstream. The bloodstream is then going to heat up, so that way you start to sweat that out. Urine, sweat, and breathing are your three big ways of getting that stuff out of your body. So which is why you're going to constantly hear me say breathe and breathe. So take your ball. This is really going to be the last area that you can use your lacrosse ball in. Okay. So you can take this lacrosse ball if you want something a little harder. Place it up against the wall. Usually a painted wall will give you a nice little grippy area. My doors have a thick coating of paint on it. Okay. You're going to place it in your glute muscles. There's 3 levels to your glutes. Medius, maximus, minimus. So medius obviously in the middle, minimus down by the hamstring area, maximus right up by the top. Okay, right? Covers your hip area right here. So you can take the ball and place it against the wall, and you're going to place your glutes, your butt muscle right on it, and you're going to start to roll out. Okay. You're going to keep your feet going the same direction, your knees bent, and you're going to roll through. If the lacrosse ball is too hard, switch over to the tennis ball. If you were using a golf ball, put that down. Too hard, don't use it. Okay. But your glutes are, well, some of you have bigger glutes than others, but your glutes are able to handle the lacrosse ball and the tennis ball. So you're going to do both sides. You're going to roll through the middle, up by the hip area, down by the hamstring area. Okay, so you're just going to roll through. If you look down and you notice your feet are going the wrong way, or one's going this way, or however, just come back, go hip width apart, your hip width apart inside your shoulder. And just roll out. Remember to breathe. In through the nostrils, out through the mouth. Some of you might be grunting in pain right now. It's perfectly normal. It's all good. Let it out. Especially if you're at home. Who's going to hear you? Maybe your neighbor. But at least you have an excuse now. Very good, good. So you can go any kind of direction. If you want to go circles, up, down, left, right. It's really going to be up to you to do this. Okay. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay. I suggest just using a softer ball here. So again, if you don't have a softer tennis ball, you're going to skip the rest of this part on your back. Right. But if you have the tennis ball, you're going to place it right by your hips. Right by the hip area, into the middle of your back. So you can place it up against the wall. There's a space. So if this is my spine, there are 2 giant muscles right on either side. These are called your QL muscles, your quasi-lateral muscles. So they go from the hip all the way into the shoulder blades. If you've ever pulled a back muscle, pinched a nerve, you know how doing something little like that can affect the entirety of your back. When you can't use your back, you really can't do anything, right? So if I'm twisting, bending, lifting my arms up, all of that uses these 2 giant muscles right here. So that's where we're going to put the ball. When you press back, try not to put all of your weight into it, especially around the mid-back. That's where your kidneys are sitting. I don't want you to damage your kidneys. So you can actually start higher up in the mid-back, and you're going to bend down. It's a little mini squat, so you can get a little squat workout here as well. But you don't have to go that deep. Okay, so you're going to roll out. With the tennis ball, it's okay if you end up rolling over the spine. You're not going to damage it, but don't stay right on the spine. Like if you were to roll side to side and you accidentally roll over your spine, that'd be okay. That's why I say don't use the lacrosse ball. That will hurt something fierce. You're gonna notice how I reached back. I slid the ball up a little bit into where my shoulder blades are. So I'm rolling in between the shoulder blades and the spine. Okay. A lot of you are gonna find some giant knots back there. So this is a great way to self-care, self-massage that area. Okay. You can also take, so this is on my left side, I take my left arm, bring it across my body like so, and it's gonna make that muscle a little more pronounced. Okay. It's also gonna flatten my shoulder blade a little bit so I can go and do that side-to-side motion where the ball isn't getting stuck in between the shoulder blade and the muscle. If you find a knot, stay right there and just work that out. That's your fascia, your connective tissue has hardened right there. So that's why you feel that crunching. Right? That's why it's so important to constantly be addressing these things, because your body is telling you. Like some of you are like, I've got a knot, I haven't stretched, I haven't done anything in a while, and we're just ignoring the body. Happens to everybody, even I do it. So don't beat yourself up about it. Just know it, that's what you're feeling. And so now you've got a tool that you can use to work it out. That's what I call heavenly pain. Feels good, even though it hurts. At least the end result will. And you go to do the other side. If you're gonna do the left, might as well do the right. And it's okay if you're not feeling that same tension you were on the other side, but you do want to address it. Notice how my foot just kind of turned out to the side there. When that happens, your body's trying to adjust for the pain or the tightness that was just felt. So your body like, okay, that's more comfortable. Just come back to the middle. You have to now teach your body what is actually straight to protect your knees. Don't forget to breathe. You can come up by the traps, or by your neck and your shoulder. Good. You can actually take this ball, and if you can keep it pressed against the wall, you can roll into your shoulders. Right? So you can come into your shoulders right there. If it's too hard to roll up against the wall, like some of you might be noticed and do that a lot, like the ball will slide and do all that stuff. If it's too just frustrating to do that on the wall, come off the wall at this point and hold your ball in your hand and roll out your shoulders. So once you go through your shoulders, you can go up by your neck, this area of your neck here. Okay. A lot of you have some real tight tension going side to side. I do. Some of you might suffer from migraines, from headaches, same as I do. That tightness here. So just taking the ball and rolling through this area. If you've got somebody at home who's going to be nice to you, they can roll it out for you. You get just relax both shoulders. If you've just recently gotten into an argument, maybe do it yourself. I'll let them taking it out on you. Roll. Both sides, come to the shoulder. I'm already starting to sweat, so I'm getting some stuff out. You might be, I'm not going to say you're profusely sweating, but you might be starting to feel a little like heat tingle in your body. Definitely always want to have water nearby. I've just been working on this for a while. Again, water is how we flush the system out. Now, tennis ball is also helpful for some emotional freedom techniques. Okay, so I also want to address that. When you're angry, you're anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, don't even know what to feel, you store that within your body. Your body keeps score. Thank you, Brene Brown, if you know who that is. Look her up. If you don't, look up Brene Brown. She's got a great series of talks and information on shame, the body keeping score, all kinds of stuff, physiologically. Right? Your mind and your body are connected. So is your soul. So if you've been not addressing or getting in touch with those emotions that you've been keeping, just tucked away and off to the side, or I'll deal with that later, your body keeps a score of all of that. Okay? Your brain, again, is that center where everything is happening. It's sending all kinds of information. There are two parts of your brain we're going to address, the amygdala and the hippocampus. Door A, door H. Your amygdala picks up all the energy that's in the room. So for example, if I've burnt my hand on the stove, right? Amygdala instantly picks up that it hurt sense. It was hot, it hurt, stores it. That's your short-term awareness and memory. Stores it in the hippocampus, which is your longer-term memory. So you make sense of all that. Why did this hurt? Oh, because the oven was really hot. So next time I go and I see the oven really hot, I'm not going to touch it. Now, it'll get to the point where if that's happened enough times, it'll create a neural pathway. Right? So I'll go a different direction. If you're growing up in a home like I did, where like my dad used to yell a lot, right? So I would pick up when he was in a bad mood. I could just feel that tension in the room. My amygdala got very used to that. So it was like, okay, if something's different, last time you got yelled at, so protect yourself. Either stay quiet, remove yourself, or be on alert. Something might be happening. This applies to every single situation. This is constantly happening on a 24-hour basis. You're reading situations, you're picking up on the energy of the room, and you're making sense of it. Most stuff can be tossed out because you're normal, you're fine. I put on my pants this morning. It's all good. One leg after the other. Great. I put on my pants this morning and all of a sudden my chest is hurting. What's happening? Something's not right. Your hippocampus can't make sense of that, so it's going through, okay, I'm going to file that away. I feel this cramp, I feel this cramp. Oh, maybe your muscles are too tight. And now it'll create a story. Every time I put my pants on and my muscles are too tight, I'm expecting to get a cramp. So even after the cramp has gone away, I might even start to guard that area. Okay. Same thing with your emotions. You could be hurt very deeply, and then next time you're in a similar situation, you're reacting in the same way you did the first time when you were deeply hurt, right? Because you're trying to protect yourself. So you can see how that starts to apply in many different realms. So here is your main emotional center. It's right by your heart, right by your chest. So you're going to take this tennis ball, and we're going to work through that. It's called priming. Okay. You're going to find your collarbone. You're going to come down to in here, and you're going to start rolling out this ball. Okay, you're going to roll up your pectoral muscles. You're going to start to feel some tension there. You may or may not, depending on where you hold your emotions. There are many different points we're going to work through today. Right? So this would be area number 1. Right through your pectoral muscles. Usually here in the chest, you hold matters of the heart, envy, jealousy, deep pain. Go over to the right side, do the same thing there. You're not pressing so deep you're trying to break yourself. Just rolling lightly over that area. Remember to breathe. Okay. Think of yourself in this moment as a DQ blizzard. Right. At the bottom of that Oreo cookie blizzard is that cookie chunk. That's where all your emotions tend to settle down at the bottom and just solidify right there. Usually in knots, right? Whether they're physical or emotional, you get settled in knots. And now we're working through those. So you're going to start to break those up. Roll through. Hold tight. So we're going to actually, as we end today, we're going to go through some tapping techniques. Okay. So again, these are priming points. So you're going to roll through there. You can roll under your ribs, through here. If you're feeling that tension through your solar plexus right here, this is an area that deals with self-confidence, self-esteem. Okay. Whether you've got too much self-esteem and you're just all the way out there all the time, or you've got very little self-esteem and you end up closing in on yourself a lot, your body language will show up. Okay, your body never lies. You can become very good at hiding some stuff, but eventually your body will give you away. Okay. So right here in your solar plexus is not your stomach, but just under your ribs there's some muscle right there. Some of us have muscle. Some of us feel like we never had muscle there. Trust me, it's there. Okay. Your six-pack may be hidden in the fridge. Your six-pack may be outside the fridge. Either way, you've got abdominal muscles, and your solar plexus are part of that. Right. Onto the ribs. Remember to breathe. And just know somebody watching this video just went, happens to everybody, happens to me. So, just a friendly reminder to breathe. And try not to beat yourself up about this stuff. I mean, if you've never stretched and you're like, oh my gosh, why don't I ever do this? You're doing it now. So, good for you. Great. You can roll through the forearms if you'd like. Back of the forearms, especially those of you who write a lot or type a lot, that might feel good. Or if you're a drummer. Good. Okay. So you're just gonna relax your hands, shake them out a little bit. What I want you to do is you're gonna grab your hands behind you if you can. Okay. If that's too hard, if you can't do that, you can grab strap, okay, and you can pull down and hold here. Again, a t-shirt works nicely, a belt, a towel. So you're gonna grab your hands. If you can grab your hands, clasp your hands together. Your palms might be out like that. You're gonna press them together. That's gonna help open up your shoulders a bit more. All right, if you needed the strap, you might start out here. Okay, your goal is to work your hands closer together. And you're gonna pull down. So you're gonna shrug your shoulders up, pinch your shoulder blades back, and then work them down. And you're gonna hold. This is where you're gonna start to feel a lot of that tension through the upper part of your neck, through your shoulders. And what you do is relax your knees. And relax your hip like we did earlier when we rolled the hip under, so back to that neutral stance. And then you're gonna bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Nice and slow, so as you exhale, you're coming down, letting your glutes relax. You can close your eyes here if you want, relax. If you're falling too far forward, you're gonna just shift your weight backwards. If you're too far back, just shift forward. You wanna be in the middle of your feet. If you're too far forward, you're going to start gripping with your toes. If you're too far back, you're digging with your heels. So you want to be in the middle of your feet. Okay. Inhale, just lightly bring your head up back to the middle. If you notice, I didn't really go down that far. Right? I'm not like way out here. Just enough to feel that tension, and you're going to work through that. So same on the other side. And you're not pulling your neck, you're just letting your ear come to your shoulder. Breath. All right. Relax your hands. Okay, you can give yourself a shoulder roll backwards, forwards. Okay. What I want you to do now is move your stuff out of the way. And we're going to take a forward fold. Okay, so we're going to stretch the hamstrings. I want you to keep your knees bent as much as you can. And you're just going to bring your hands till you touch your toes. If you normally can't touch your toes, that's why I'm having you bend your knees. We're all going to bend our knees and touch our toes, get as close as we can. Notice I have a deep bend in my legs. And you're going to hold on to your feet. Slowly begin to straighten out your legs. So this is going to stretch your hamstrings. Okay? Keep the crown of your head, the top of your head facing down. If you've got vertigo issues or high or low blood pressure issues, I want you to keep your head above your heart. Okay? So instead of coming all the way down here, you're going to place your hands on your shins, keep them bent, and keep your head above your heart. Right? And then you're going to work on straightening out your legs. Okay? So as long as your head stays up, you can work down with your hands, but you're going to keep your head up so that way the fluid in your body doesn't overwhelm your head. If you're okay to go forward from there, you're going to bring your head down. So you're stretching out the legs as much as you can. You're going to grab behind your calf muscles. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, Try to bring your upper body closer to your lower body. Take deep breaths through the back so you can inflate the air through your back. So be here for about 3 or 4 deep breaths. Relax your hands, place your hands on your shins, bend your knees, lift your head up, let that blood come down from your head. Use your legs to push yourself up. Okay, you're gonna bring your hands overhead, just get yourself a nice stretch. Relax your shoulders. Exhale, bring your arms down. We're gonna do that 2 more times, okay? So I'm gonna refresh the body's system. Okay, by coming down, nice and slow. I use my legs to brace myself. Come down, bent knees, slowly stretch them out. Or you're leaving your head above your heart and coming down as far as you can. And then as you exhale, just work on bringing your chest into your legs. Notice my head is still above my heart. And deep breathe. Lift the head up, bend the knees, come back up. Okay. You might see other teachers, other videos where you roll, they ask you to roll up through the spine. I don't like doing that. 1, because of my own back issues, and 2, it takes your spine and it rolls it on top of each other, so you're at greater risk of pinching a nerve that way. So that's why I come up in sections. Right, so if you come up, you bend your knees, releases some of that tension in the hip area, and then you can use your upper back to help you up. Right, it's a lot softer on the knees, a lot softer on the back, so that's why I do it that way. Breathe. Okay. We're gonna do that 1 more time. This time when we come up, we're gonna do something a little differently to activate the nerves in the back. Okay. So you're gonna come down nice and slow, bent knees. And straightening out the legs, you can grab behind your calves, pull your chest in. On the exhale, and this time you're going to make 2 fists. Bring them behind your lower back, right along the sacrum, that hip area. You're going to pound out that lower part of your back. And right down to the tailbone, around the top of the glutes there. You're going to bend your knees, lift your head. Once you lift your head, you should start to feel some of that blood moving from your head. And then keep doing that while you come up. You should definitely feel a little more relaxed, a little more different than you did. Okay, so pound on your lower back. Never pound up into the upper back where your kidneys are. Last thing I need you to do is beat yourself up, literally. Okay? Enough of us do that mentally. So let's be kind to ourselves. So you're gonna come around. Good. Take your hands on your hips, and you're just gonna roll out. The way your hips are curved, it's like an ice cream scoop, right? So we're gonna roll through nice and soft and scoop a lot of that gunk off of the hips. Your feet are gonna tell you the story here. As you're rolling around, if you notice your feet are picking up, your toes are moving, don't just slow down in that area. Relax your glutes and continue to go around. You can keep your thumb right on the corner of the back part of your hip. So there are nerves there. You can keep it on both sides. Let your hands come around to the front. Okay. I'm a fairly thin guy with small waist, so it's easier for me to grab around my hips. Your hips are naturally going to be different than mine, so you're just going to grab around wherever you're at. Here, here, here. Doesn't matter. Okay. You're going to hold. But if you place your thumbs on that area, you're going to be less likely to pinch a nerve because you're not going to go as fast. Keep your knees bent. As you're coming forward with your hips, lift your head up just a bit and inhale. As you're coming back, tilt your head down and exhale. So I'm going to do 4 in this direction. On the 4th one, at the top of the inhale, instead of coming all the way around, I'm then going to switch directions. Again, one direction may be tighter than the other, and that's okay. You're addressing it now, so we're all good. What I don't want you to do is when you get here to throw your hip out. So you're going to keep yourself stationary, just in a small circle. Have you ever seen the movie Hitch, where Kevin James is dancing? Right here. Okay, this is your circle. This is your area. Right here. Nice and small. Come to the middle. Pause. Good. We're going to do the apple pickers. Okay, so what you're going to do is reach up as high as you can with your right hand. Trying to reach for that all elusive apple. Bend your left leg to get you an extra stretch. You should feel that stretch coming across your back here, so you're reaching all the way up. Nice deep breath. Okay. Exhale, switch sides. As you're reaching up, you can reach down with the opposite hand as well. Okay. Some of you may be going like this. Try to keep your ear by your shoulder. Okay. Switch again. And once again. If you've got a chair, I want you to grab the back of that chair. If you've got a banister, basically I want you to have something that's fairly stationary that you can grab onto. Let's bring this a little bit more out of the shot here and move back. Okay. What you do is grab this chair. This is great, especially in the mornings, even if you don't have a time to stretch or you haven't got a chance, you might just be feeling stiff in the back. You're going to grab something that's arms level and you're going to walk back until you're straight, like so. All right, and your head can fit in between your arms with your eyes looking down. Okay, so once you walk back all the way till you're here. Okay, slight bend in the knees, and what I want you to do, I'm going to try and turn this way, okay, is to move your hips left and right. Nice and slow. Left, you're going to feel that pull. Bending off to the left, bend the left knee. If I'm going off to the right, bend the right knee. It's going to release some of that tension you've got in your low back. And you can pull back even further. If you've got someone in your house who can help you, they can hold on to your hips and pull back. To come out of this, you're going to walk step by step, close to the chair, put all your weight into the chair to take that weight off your back. Okay. Great. So that's a little chair yoga for you, a little chair stretch. Okay. So, should be feeling a little bit more loose, a little more relaxed. Okay. Another thing you can do as we end here, okay, keep an eye out for part 2 of this, where we talk more in depth about emotional freedom. We're going to do some tapping, which is going to address these emotional centers within the body. Okay? And there's going to be some affirmation statements, right? Because I truly believe that God doesn't want us beating ourselves up all the time. Okay? The hardest thing you can say to yourself is, I love you, unconditionally, looking in the mirror. Because we all have these things in our mind that oh, I'm not good enough here, I'm not good enough in this area, God doesn't love me this. God loves us unconditionally. Okay? He just wants us to be close to Him. Whether that's accepting Him as Lord and Savior, or if you're already a child of God and accepted Him as your Lord and Savior, then to just be close and draw near to Him daily. Okay? And that is harder when we're beating ourselves up and thinking that He doesn't love us because we've done this thing that's wrong. We just came off the Easter season where it's a celebration of His death, burial, and resurrection, where He died for all of our sins, all our mistakes, all of that junk that's going on, right? So we'll address that part 2 of the video. But as we end here, what I want you to do is you're going to find a wall. Okay? I've got a door here, I've got a wall here. Find some space in your house that will allow you to put your legs up the wall. Okay. So you're going to do is you're going to sit down sideways as close to the wall as you possibly can, like right up on it. All right. And you're going to lay down and you're going to turn to the side, okay, and throw your legs up the wall. Here or straight. Okay. And you're just going to relax. You're going to place your hands on your belly. Left hand below your belly button, right hand just above your belly button. Okay. And you're going to breathe. As you inhale, your belly is going to come up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, your belly is going to come down. Okay. The blood from your feet is going to come down towards your hips. That oxygenated blood is going to allow your low back to start to release even more. Okay. You're going to keep your eyes on your legs. That keeps your neck stretching forward so you're not having this arch in your neck. And you're going to breathe. You're going to throw your legs up here. Minimum, do this 5 minutes. Maximum, you can go up to 20-25 minutes if you want. Okay? It's a great way to not only slow you, it's a great way to just relax. Okay? Again, if you've got animals, they're going to come around you. Either start licking you and you just have to like push them off, or they'll sit next to you. If you've got kids, this is great for children, because children have all kinds of energy all the time, right? So this is something they can do that's fun, right? Just get them to relax. And it's sneaky because it'll start to slow their body down and cause them to just get a little bit more tired. Okay. So you're going to breathe. You can throw on some light music, which is great. So that whole ambiance that you're creating for them will allow them to come down. I'm going to breathe. To come out of this, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your knees to your chest. Okay. And this is a great time to pull your knees in, and you can rock side to side to roll out both sides of the back. Okay. But you're going to let your feet come down here for a second. Then you're going to turn in the fetal position. If you're feeling still too much energy in your body, you need to calm down even more, you're going to go to the left. This activates the left side of your brain. Okay. Your analytical side, which causes your body to slow down. If you need a little bit more energy, you're just doing this to kind of work some of that lethargy, that lethargicness out of your body. You're going to go down to the right. You're going to start activating your more creative side. It starts to boost you a little bit. Then you're going to push with both hands. You're going to come up. Swing your legs out in front of you and sit with your back up against this wall or your door or wherever you're at. And just sit there for a few minutes and let the blood come right back down to your feet, right? And breathe. And then you're done. So, great job today, everybody. Another 50 minutes to an hour of just taking time for yourself. It's important, especially during this time of isolation, as we all look to get back to what's normal in our lives. It's a great way to just take some time and take a few moments to realize and consider what is actually important and worth rushing back to. Right? So you're important. Right? Whether you've got kids or people in your life that you take care of, you can't give from an empty cup. And so your health, your sanity, your physical well-being, your mental, your spiritual well-being is all very important, because for as much as they're important and they need you, what would happen if you weren't there? Or if something happened to you where you had to go, you had a mental breakdown, or you just can't control the overwhelming emotions, right? So obviously there are situations that can be overwhelming. So this is a great way to start taking self-care into consideration, and it's just nice to feel good every now and then. So remember, you are loved. Our Creator loves you. I love you. Even if I don't know you, still got love for you. Alright? So be blessed, be safe. Have a great week. We'll throw out another video, part 2 later on, and then another video for next week. So.